There we go. All right. We are live. Hey everybody. So it ended up being pretty clear. So I just wanted to give a test for my Bahtinov lens and my focal reducer tonight. So I can switch, and in fact what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up my chat here as well. Let me do that really quick. Pause that and pull out the chat here as well. Myself, there we go. I am live. Hey there, Uncle Bill. All right, cool. All right, so I can see that, and I can see the live stream. Now, of course, it's dark, so the light that you're seeing is actually the light from the laptop screen. So you're not going to be seeing much here, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to point the scope over to Arcturus. Now, this telescope's not going to be tracking tonight, so it's going to be a little bit of a challenge. And I do have some high clouds moving in from the south for sure. But for right now, it's pretty clear. It's pretty clear. It's nice and quiet, nice and calm. I am definitely the loudest thing out here. So, all right, I think I'm going to switch cameras to the webcam that's on the scope. So it's going to go black. But you should be able to hear me still. So I'm going to go over to Arcturus, and we'll take a look. And we'll take a look at Arcturus without the Bahtinov lens, and then with the focal reducer, and then without. So, okay, I'm going to go over to Arcturus here. See if I can latch onto it pretty painlessly. Should be around here somewhere. I might be completely out of focus, so that's why it's good to choose a nice big bright star like that to hone in on, because it's going to be hard to see otherwise. But I'm not seeing it here at all. Let me I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it because I'm not pointing at it. Yeah, definitely help. Give me. Well, went the wrong way there. Should be pretty darn close. Huh. Where is he? Come on, Arcturus. I do have the right camera on this guy, as far as I know. Let me check my settings again really quick. C525, yeah. Okay. Well, we'll keep. You just gotta plug away at these kinds of things until you get it. Try to I think what I might do is throw my eyepiece on there and try to get it a little bit focused. I'm going to take the camera off. It's not going to affect you in any way. I'm just going to throw my eyepiece on there, because you know this camera is a very narrow field of view. So if I don't get it like perfectly locked into place, then I'm never going to see it. But with an eyepiece, a little wider field of view, and I can actually put it in the center of the field of view, and then sort of quickly move the scope, or move the camera to back onto the scope. So that's what I'm doing now, is just centering this thing with my eyepiece, because I can see Arcturus. It's you know, pretty obvious. Nice bright star. I'll put it right near the center, as long as I get my bearings here. Okay. So now I'm going to take the eyepiece off and quickly put the camera back on. And let's make sure that this camera is actually doing something. I'm going to shine the flashlight onto it. Yep. Okay, so it's definitely seeing light. But for some reason, I am not seeing Arcturus anywhere. But you got to be patient with these things. You must have patience. Patience. And you can sing a song while you have patience. I'm going to switch to my eyepiece again, because it really shouldn't be quite this hard. I mean, I know that it's going to be out of focus, but I should be able to see even out of focus Arcturus. Should be bang on there. And there he is. Yep. See which way he's drifting. It's like he's drifting that away. So if I put it, so it sort of drifts into the middle, you know what I mean? Okay, so now I've bought myself a little bit of time, hopefully. So now I'm going to switch to the camera again. Hopefully that's sort of the right way around. Alright, so the camera's on there. And dang, I'm not seeing a thing. Not seeing a thing. Well, let's play with the focus a little bit. Maybe it's so out of focus that it's just not getting any light in there at all. But I really doubt that. So I'm playing with the focus. And wow, I'm just not seeing anything. Alright, bear with me, folks. I'm having to wait just like you are. Once we get it, we've got it, but it's a matter of getting it. Should see something bright. Unless, let's, I'm going to pull up, I wonder, I'm thinking that my, maybe my exposure time on the camera is really short. And just because it's so out of focus and all of that, it's just not, and maybe because it's a short exposure. So I'm going to, as soon as I got the controls here, which they're slowly coming up here, I will play with the exposure time. I'll goose up the exposure time, and that'll brighten things up a little bit, hopefully. Come on. Just taking its sweet old time here. Oh, webcam is in use. Okay, so I have to release it from this guy. So I'll go back to that, which isn't going to be too exciting because that's just me. But I need to, let's see. Let me go back, main menu. Okay, quick capture. Just thinking the exposure time is set way low. It's taking its time. This is back on the laptop here, so it's, you know, Mr. Laptop is really overtaxed. Okay, here we go. It's trying hard. Okay, there we go. So webcam options, advanced settings. Now we will see. Got some bugs out here again tonight, which is always fun. Come on, advanced settings. Oh, okay, so the exposure time was set pretty high already. And I'm going to goose up the gain and all of that. Okay, so now I'm going to try to find it in the webcam view, and then once I have it, I'll switch over to your view. But let me try to get it here first. This way. This is the only way that I can control the exposure time. And again, I'm going to shine the flashlight. If I can find the flashlight. I'm going to shine the flashlight down to the telescope just to make sure. Yep, okay, so it's seeing light. Definitely seeing light. I guess what I'm going to do is pull the camera back out and refocus with my eyepiece. Now the focus for the eyepiece and the focus for the camera are going to be totally different, but I think it's going to be closer than what it probably is now. Yeah. Okay. So now I will put Arcturus back into the center of the field of view, more or less. Getting a little bit of wind here. Okay, so now I'm going to put the camera back on. And put my glasses back on. And oh, that's not it. Dang, mister, where are you? Usually isn't that hard. Maybe I should put the focal reducer on. widen the field of view a little bit. What do you think? I wasn't going to do that at first, but you know, that might actually help. So let me go ahead and do that. Take it out of its little cute little case here. And put this guy on here. See, it's actually seeing light for sure. So, okay, I'm going to put that back in there. So now we got the focal reducer in there. And I'm going to try to center it up again. There it is. Okay, yeah, very out of focus. Oh. Got him. Got him. Okay. Now I'm gonna see, can I? Okay, just don't lose him, dude. Because I want to get the... Okay, so now I'm going to exit this. And exit that. Oh, okay. Yeah, let's just save those for now. And I'm going to switch to this guy. And now you should see him. Of course you don't. There he is. Okay, so that's very overexposed. But he was like this, way out of focus like that. All right, so pretty hard to see that way. But there we go. Okay, so this guy is definitely drifting because the Earth is turning quite a bit. But I'm going to throw the Bahtinov lens on just as is. All right, just as is. No tape, no reinforcement, no nothing. I've got high clouds moving in. So here goes the Bahtinov lens. Whoa. So that center spike is the thing that I want right between those other two spikes, and that means I'm focused. So, oh, wrong way. That's sort of in the middle. Does that look like it's sort of in the middle there? It's pretty good to me. Okay, and that's with the focal reducer on there too. So that's pretty cool. Okay. Well, I wish I could track now because this is going to be hard to find again. Because what I have to do in order to change the exposure time is I need to release the camera from this piece of software, get into my other piece of software, change the exposure. Oh, that's fun. But that looks like a pretty good focus there, huh? That central spike in the middle there is supposed to be right in between. See if I do that. Right? It's way over on one side, sort of on the left there. And if I go the other way, oh, go the other way, it sort of goes that way to the right. And if and that's just me touching the telescope, making it jiggle. If I go right in the middle, that supposedly is focused. So that's Arcturus with a Bahtinov lens or mask. I can actually rotate the mask. Looks like it's about in the middle to me, which means it's focused. Now, I could dink with this for quite a while, all right, get it. And I mean, I'm not going to because, you know, drift, Earth is rotating, but it sort of looks like, well, that is sweet, man. That works really well. I am impressed. I'm impressed. Look at that. I can go way out of focus. You see that? Look at that. Ooh. And I can go way out the other way. Whoa. See them. Here's my hand. And I can rotate this around. So this Bahtinov lens isn't centered yet, so I don't necessarily consider this a good focus. I've got to get it all centered and everything else. But that's, I mean, it's pretty obvious, right? That central spike there is right in between those other two. Pretty cool. Let me, I'm gonna quickly check the chat here. See what's going on. Hey there, Totterbert. Nice to see you. Just playing with some new devices that are going to make my observing a little bit easier, right? One of the hardest things, if you guys have been watching Fraser Cain, you've been watching him struggle with focusing, and focusing is a big deal, right? I mean, you really want to be focused, especially if you're doing any kind of imaging. Now, what I'm doing, which is photometry and astrometry, focus actually isn't as important, but I still want to be focused. And when I'm doing these kinds of things, right, I definitely want to be focused because you guys don't want to see a blurry star or planet or anything else. So, you know what? Now, since we're focused, I'm going to take the Bahtinov lens mask off. And I'm going to say that we are focused. Okay? So now, let's move over to Saturn. Now, Saturn is moving into some clouds, but let's try to get it, right? So this is with the focal reducer also. So I've increased my field of view by a factor of 2 from what I normally have. So we've got actually the moon over there too. Now Saturn's probably going to be really overexposed. But let's see if we can at least get it here. Yeah, there it is. So it's overexposed. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to switch. I'm going to have to switch back to this camera. Okay, switch back to this camera, and you can still sort of see me. You can see the moon right there coming in. There it is. So now I need to start up my Logitech software again and change the exposure time. And this is going to be a kind of a pain. But what I'll do is I will get Saturn sort of the way that I want it to look, and then I'll switch to this camera again. But I have to change the exposure time, which means I have to push a couple of buttons, which means I have to wait about 1,000 years for this poor little laptop to do its thing. Do its thing here. Okay, so there's that. I've got that. So now I've got to go to webcam options and advanced settings. And okay, so now you grab that window, move it over here. So now I'm going to get Saturn back so I can see it. You're not going to be able to see it yet. Get Saturn back. Whoop. Come on, where are you? I found you once. I found you once. There you are. Okay, so now I'm going to change my exposure time. There we go. Sweet. Yeah, that doesn't actually look too bad. Okay, so now I'm going to save this. And I'm going to exit out of this. And then I'm going to switch back to this camera, the telescope camera. And there it is. Whoop, there it goes. There it goes. We switch to a slower slew rate. So yeah, I definitely am not tracking, right? So it's going to be drifting a little bit, but Saturn's just past the meridian, so it's basically going to be moving left to right here. And we're looking through some clouds, so it's pretty cruddy looking. Man, I wish I could, I wish there was an easy way for me to change the exposure. But, yeah, that's not too bad. And, you know, the focus is probably about as good as it's going to get. So, let's do a little experiment. Okay, this is with the focal reducer, which theoretically has increased my field of view, my width and my height by a factor of 2. So my area is actually a factor of 4 larger. So if I put Saturn over here, whoop, always going the wrong way. If I put Saturn way over here, boy, the Earth turns fast. Makes me dizzy. I'm trying to get that thing sort of right in the middle. Okay. So let's put it over here. I'm going to quickly take the camera off, take the focal reducer out, put it over here, put this back on, and see where the focus is. Ooh, it's not even there. Wow. Not even there. Wow. Just completely vanished Saturn. It's probably out of focus too. Probably out of focus. Let me get it, try to get it back into the finder scope here. Oh, I was a little bit way off there. A little bit off. Yeah, it's probably changed focus enough. That I may not be able to see it. I'm just sort of scanning around, but ooh, wow, I'm just not seeing it there at all. Wow, okay. Well, let me put the focal reducer back in, or back on. And okay, so that's back on, putting it back on the telescope. And not seeing anything because it's drifted again. Should be coming in. Oh. Where'd you go, huh? Where'd you go, Mr. Saturn? Huh. That's a little weird. Should have seen it. There he is. Wow, I'm pretty amazed that the focus changes that dramatically. Wow, I'm going to try that experiment again, if you don't mind. I'm going to put it way over here, so I've got time, right? I've got time to take this thing out, unscrew that, put it back in. Wow, he's just not there at all. Wow, that's amazing. Let's scan around a little bit, see if I can pick him up at all. I mean, even out of focus, we should see something, I would think. The distance really hasn't changed all that much, I wouldn't think. A bit off. Yeah, wow. You know, I think what I'll do is I'm going to switch to my eyepiece. And what I can do is I can put the focal reducer on the eyepiece. And then I can measure how many turns of focus is the difference between the focal reduced hold on a sec. Oh, that's just a cat. We have skunks out here, and I thought I thought that a skunk had just walked by, but it was one of our outdoor kitties. So, all right, I'm putting the eyepiece in, and I'm going to. Wow, is that Saturn? Can't be. Yeah. Oh, it is. Okay, so that. Wow. Okay, that's way out of focus. 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 9, 10, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. Ooh, I cannot. With this eyepiece, the way it is, I cannot focus with this focal reducer. I wonder if I can with just the eyepiece. I'm using that that right angle adapter, so it's a little bit easier to view, but I'm going to take that out of the equation, put it right on the eyepiece. Let me focus with the eyepiece alone first. So sorry, let me I can switch back to this and sort of turn this around. You can sort of see. Yeah, okay, so put the eyepiece in. straight in, no focal reducer, right? Nothing. Focal reducer's here. Okay, so I'm going to focus without the focal reducer. So, don't leave the glasses on the ground at night. Bad news. In fact, I need these. Okay. Save that. Okay. So let's get Saturn back in here. Okay, and then I'm going to have to look through it this way. So I'll put the glasses down and look. Oh, that's way out of focus. Okay, so now I've got it focused on Saturn. I'm going to put him pretty much in the center. Oh, what a beautiful planet. Okay, so now I'm going to put the focal reducer on. And see what the focus is. One. It's basically half a turn. Basically half a turn. Stupid dog. Okay, so it's basically half a turn, which isn't much. That dog. I'm insane. Okay, so let's put the camera back on. And I'll focus with the camera without the focal reducer. I'm going to get a cloud going right across Saturn here pretty soon. Okay, so let me switch cameras. I'm going to rotate this laptop back around so it's not... ooh, look at those. Look at those glowy eyes. So I'll switch back to the telescope camera. All right. And we will get Saturn back in there, hopefully. Hopefully. Maybe. Not seeing it. Way past it. Gotta see something, huh? Oh, this is with the just the camera. So let me put the focal reducer on there. There's definitely a wider field of view. It's pretty sweet. Okay, so now oh, missed him. Must be out of focus. All I can think is that it's out of focus. Oh. Got to be patient with these kinds of things. It's a learning curve. You're, you're watching a live learning curve. Man, it should be right in there. but I am not seeing anything. Not even a blur. Huh. Interesting. Guess. Shoot. Yeah, we're starting to get some cloud. These high clouds are starting to move in pretty quickly here. Dang, I should be right on it too. Should be right there. I am definitely. Make sure I'm looking at the right camera. Yep, I am. That's still the same. Okay. I'm a little surprised that I just cannot see Saturn whatsoever. I mean, even out of focus, I'm not seeing it. That is a little weird. I guess it's not too weird. I guess, I was getting pretty close when I was using the just the regular eyepiece, right? With the 90-degree thing. Is that right? Let me try that again. Let me see where my focus is. Way out. Let me get it back so it's focused with the eyepiece, and then put the camera back in. Don't remember if that was close or not. Guess we're going to find out. It might be closer. I should be able to see something. Maybe I've just got to increase my exposure time again and do it that way. Okay, well, so be it. So I'm going to switch back to that. And look at that moon up there. Hello, moon. And let's see, then I've got to pull up the Logitech software again. And I'll goose up the exposure time again. Yeah, this is everything's a learning curve. Everything, especially for you know, boneheads like me, it just takes a while. Let's see, webcam options, advanced settings, and I'm going to goose up the exposure time again. Because if it's out of focus, then it's going to be substantially fainter than what it should be. But if I really jack up the exposure time and the gain here. Okay, so now let me try to find it in my little webcam screen. So just sort of scanning around. Gee whiz, I'm not seeing it at all. Should be right there. Not seeing a thing. Ow. Huh. So I'm looking through my finder scope. I've got a little, like a little laser dot, and I can line up the target with that laser dot, but it's not very exact. That's sort of the next thing on my list, is to get either like a Telrad or an actual finder scope, maybe with some kind of illuminated reticle, because this is really, you know, this is sort of a bummer, right, that I cannot find the simplest of things. Let me get the eyepiece back on there. If I was doing actual science, I would be going insane right now, because it's like I'm losing time, and that's no good. So I'm glad this is just an experiment. Okay, so he's sort of right in the middle. I'm going to take the eyepiece off, put the camera back on quickly. Aha, I saw it. There it is. Okay, let me... I'm cheating a little bit here. Okay. Okay, there it is again. Okay, I've got it back in focus at least. Gee whiz. So now, I think what I'm going to do, well, yeah, I can, let's just, because I want you guys to be able to see this too. I want you to see what I'm seeing, because that's the whole point to this. So I'm going to turn this exposure time down a little bit. Maybe, well, no, I'm not. I'm going to leave it so it's overexposed, because if the focus changes, it's going to be really hard to see. So I'm going to scooch that way over there, and I'm going to save that really quick, and I'm going to exit out of that, and then I'm going to switch cameras, and you'll see it. Okay, good. So now, so this is really overexposed, right? Really overexposed, so you're not going to be able to see much. And what I want to do is I want to take the camera off, take the focal reducer off, put the camera back on, and yeah, see how out of focus that is? I saw it there for a second. Yeah, see how out of focus it is? Let me see if I can. I'm going to have to move the scope. I've got the camera on there, although it's not secured on. Okay, so there it is without the focal reducer, finally. So you can see it's quite a bit bigger. I think it is, isn't it? I don't know. Does that look any bigger? It must be bigger. Got some wind blowing around out here. I'm going to get my hands off this thing, though, so you can see it as is, but you can see it's jiggling around a little bit because of the wind. Now this is definitely overexposed, right? So, but yeah, ooh, it's when the wind blows, it just sort of jiggles around quite a bit. So that's without the focal reducer. Now I'm going to quickly hold the camera back off, put the focal reducer back on, stick it back in. Yeah, wow, that changes the focus so much. Oh, I saw it there for a second. It changes the focus so much that, wow. Yeah, there it is. There's something at least. I saw something there for a second. Now I'm not seeing anything. Yeah, wow, okay, so the focus is quite a bit different depending on whether I'm using the focal reducer or not. Wow. Alright, so I'm going to have to figure out how many turns of focus I'm going to have to do in order to get that bad boy in there. So I've taken the focal reducer out, and I'm going to get Saturn on here again. Maybe. Definitely a narrower field of view. Yeah, there it is. When he's in focus, no problem, you know? But look, just a little bit out of focus and it vanishes. Wow. Okay, so that's why. If it's just a little bit out of focus, look at that. It's just gone. Now, what can I do to mitigate that? I don't know. So I've got the exposure time set pretty high already on this guy. Wow, but yeah, if I just change the focus a little bit, it just vanishes. So that's why I can't see it. It's sort of the nature of this camera. Well, what to do about that? I don't know. Not sure what I can do about that. I guess what I'm going to have to do is I'm just going to have to be like, okay, I'm either going to use the focal reducer or I'm not. And I think for sure I definitely want to. So oh, where'd he go? He drifted. Drift away. Oh, where'd you go, mister? You're up there somewhere. I know you are. I see ya. So I guess what I'm going to have to do is put the focal reducer back on, and that will sort of be that. Pretty good shot of Saturn, though. Let's take a look at this. Let's take a look at this with a little shorter exposure, so we can see any details in the rings and stuff. So I'm going to have to shut you down. Go back to this. Save that. Go back to the Logitech really quick. Should be pretty easy to find once it's in focus. Don't know what I can do with that. There's a contrast adjustment. Let's see. I'm just gonna mess with that a little bit here while you're watching me. Webcam options, advanced settings. Of course, he's lifted already. See if I can get him back in there. So you can't see what I'm seeing. I could share my screen, I guess. Can I do that? I can share my screen. Let's share my screen. Okay. So now you're going to be seeing what I'm seeing. Like that. Okay. So let me get him back in there. Mr. Saturn. Pretty close. There it is. Okay, so now let me turn the brightness down a little bit. So there's also a contrast. I wonder if I goose up the contrast. Oh, okay, that makes it even worse. Contrast is really way down. Brightness. Oh, that's kind of working the opposite of what I thought it would. Increasing contrast should... Okay, increase brightness and contrast. Okay, so now let me play with the focus here. See if it vanishes. Not as much. Right, because I determined that it's only half a turn. So theoretically, well, I should be able to, I'm going to put him over there. I'm going to take the camera off, put the focal reducer on, camera back on. Come on. Ah, there he is. Okay, that helped enormously, right? Because now I can focus. And there he is. Hot dog. Okay. And we can reduce the gain, reduce the exposure time. Okay. I'm learning slowly. I'm a slow learner. It takes me 1 trillion years to figure things out, but I do eventually. Okay. So that's what that's all about, right? So now keep the gain a little low. Yeah, it's all about these controls too. See, there's higher gain, there's lower gain. Hope you're seeing this all. So I'm changing the contrast. Oh, okay. Change the contrast, change the brightness, change the position, change the focus. Okay. So if I want to switch between these two, I have to goose up the brightness and the contrast at an insane level. Right? Just totally insane. I goose up everything, right? Then I grab the camera. Well, I put this over here because I'm drifting. Grab the camera, rip it off the telescope, unscrew the focal reducer, and there it is. Okay. So you can see that the quite a decrease in field of view, right? Effectively, the magnification has changed, and mess with the brightness and contrast a little bit. Okay, so that's what has to be done. Just got to goose up the brightness and contrast at insane levels, like that. Get this guy over here, sort of drifts in. Come on, where are you? Okay, grab the camera, rip it off the scope, put the focal reducer back on, put it back on the scope, and there he is. And that's one turn. That's about 1.5 turns. About 1.5. And then I can definitely reduce the contrast. Definitely reduce the contrast. Looks like I gotta reduce the brightness too. Okay, cool. Can't say as this camera is showing any of the moons. Right? I'm not really seeing any moons. I'm really jacking up the jacking everything up here quite a bit. But yeah, I'm not seeing any. Oh yeah, there they are. There's some of the moons. Cool. It's in pretty good focus too. So this one I'm not sure if that's a moon or not. It might be Titan. This one is almost definitely a moon. Almost definitely. Can I change the gain? No, it's not really letting me change the gain. I can change the contrast though. So we're seeing at least, oh, there's another moon right here. Do you see that one? We're seeing at least a couple moons there. Always like to see moons. Very, very faint relative to Saturn, though, of course. There might be another moon right there, too. Maybe. That's probably a background star, though. That's my guess. That's pretty bright. Play with that focus a little bit. I wonder what the Bahtinov lens looks like with this thing. Let's throw that on there and just sort of see. See what that does. Yeah, see, with an extended object, it makes it really, really hard, right? You really need a point. You really need a point source. Yeah, you really need a point source. Do I have a point source, a bright point source? No. Okay. Well, you know what? Let's do one more thing. Let's just look at the moon. I mean, it's pretty much at full, but and it's in the clouds over there. But since we're here and looking at things, might as well look at the moon. Zip over there, and I think we were pretty focused. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to, well, let's get over there, and then I'll have to change the exposure time. Definitely have to change the exposure time. If that's not seeing the moon, I'm gonna have a fit. Thank you. That's a pretty bright moon. Knock the exposure time down. Knock the gain down. Knock the brightness down. Knock the contrast down. Oh, so that's a nice, yeah, that's a pretty nice wide field of view now. Oh, sweet. Yeah, that's pretty sweet. Let's, so now that we've got this here, let's, I'm going to switch to the other camera. So I'm going to stop sharing. Stop sharing. And let's go back over to that guy. There we go. I've got some dust there on the bottom. Do you see that? On the bottom of the field of view. A little bit of dust. Let's play with the focus a little bit. So get some pretty good focus. Yeah, so there's the moon. Yay. And that's with the, it's still, you know, a pretty narrow field of view, but it's twice the field of view that it was. So that's looking through clouds too. That's looking through a lot of shit. It's a little bit of vignetting, it looks like, maybe. Seeing some bright stuff. A nice big bright crater there. Unfortunately, I do not know my lunar features all that well. I wish I did. but I definitely do not. Pretty bumpy edge, look at that. Of course, we're getting the drift because of the Earth's rotation. Cool. I'm going to check the chat really quick. Yeah, moons, haha. Cool, okay. Well, I think this was a good experiment tonight. I think, you know, these kinds of things, you just sort of have to be a little stubborn and persevere and just sort of push through things. So, yeah, I think I learned quite a bit here in terms of where the foci are for sort of regular view and focal reducer view. I don't know what that piece of dust is there. I'm going to have to figure that one out. But yeah, that's actually looking through a lot of cloud. I guess not a lot of cloud, but always nice to see the moon. I've seen the moon so many times, and it doesn't matter how many times I've seen it, it's always just incredible. Alright, well, I think that's it for now. I think that is definitely it for now. So, alright, well, thanks everybody. Thanks for stopping in and journeying around. I will see you soon. Bye.